Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Odessa, the Dark Crusade, Season 2, the final day of a 7-day marathon of Elysiums. As such, we revisit Timran's Elysium one final time, as the Grand Hall itself seems to have revived from its emptier state from a couple days ago, and once again is as busy as it was on the first day. People are everywhere, refreshments being filled every half minute, and for once it looks like they might be growing a little bit short. Hopefully no one comes in hungry, needing a refill. But yes, as all of you have been here before, apart from one of you, I will explain the state of affairs one final time. Aldrich, when the Elysium itself takes place, it kind of in a castle at the center of town in Timrin. It is something of a hybrid, sort of like where nobility would live, but it also appears to be something of a military fortification as well. Um, the journey through the town is fairly unremarkable. The town itself appears to be well maintained, but doesn't stick out as being like particularly brilliant. It just appears to have a very friendly community and generally well maintained infrastructure and less poverty than in Odessa. But then again, it's a smaller town, so it makes sense. When you get to the front courtyard of this castle, which is atop a hill, past the gated community that is the noble district of this town, um, there will be a steward waiting for you, who will be absolutely delightful and extremely courteous and deferential to you. Um, Once, of course, you show that you're in fact invited to Elysia, and you're guided through a slightly labyrinthine set of corridors through the castle itself. Um, it's not overwhelming, but you can see why they'd perhaps want a guide, other than to just keep people from going to places where they're not supposed to be. Um, and when you do, you're stood in front of two very large doors that open up to an absolutely massive hall with beautiful tiling along the floor and walls, um, curtains made of beautiful, elaborate gold threads. There are two large balconies off to the side, off to both left and right side of the hall. Um, at the back of the hall, there is a set of three phones on a very slightly elevated position, um, with three stained glass windows behind them. One depicting a kind of shadowy figure, kind of wreathed in black, with a golden kind of crown on his head. A faceless angel on the middle stained glass window, and a sort of humanoid figure that seems to have a sort of a reptilian, if not outright draconic features to it. But again, is faceless. The hall itself is extremely busy. Um, and there are quite a few servants stealing out refreshments on like silver, literally silver platters. And that is the scene set before you. Borderline everyone you could think of is here. Your regent is here. Most of your clanmates are here. You're also aware of the gossip that the Saluri basically declared war on your clan while they were here.
Yes.
Unpleasant. How rude.
If you say so.
But yes, you may all introduce yourselves as you wish.
The seneschal of this city, and, well, maybe not the host, but certainly also sees to the visitors and all these guests in the hall, is making herself busy as usual, making sure that everyone's cups are at least, if not full, then at least tended to. And at the moment, she is simply just walking, making polite conversation, whoever she might find and wherever they might be. A couple of moments for each, and then moves on.
Thorwald is not far behind. He's wearing the armor, the new armor that was given to him by Eridan. Black armor with gold studs. Quite ornate. Decent armor. He seems to be keeping a watchful eye over Madeline as usual and over the crowds.
Memnon walks into the hall, and he isn't dressed in his finest of garbs. You could probably tell from the soot and upon his clothes and skin. If you know of him, then he has been hard at work, but he has made his travel and his time to end the end of the Elysium. If it's not difficult to spot Thorvald, seeing him adorned in his creation, he may approach Thorvald from across the crowd.
It's not difficult to spot Thorwald. He's close to 6'7". He's a big chap. He looms over the most of the crowd.
Well, yeah, just to give everyone else a chance to get in. Memnon will make his way towards you, and he would simply ask if you are the warrior whom Erden had gifted this armor to.
Thorwald nods. I am.
Well, seeing as how there is a awkward silence, Gerard will filter in and mingle. And that's about that.
Gufran is where he will ever be, without interruption, gazing upon the wonders of the mosaic. As he's probably there with Omar Shadid, just gazing upon, just like, oh yes, look at the corners, look at the lines, look at the exquisite artwork. Behold the Toreador engaging on the conversation upon this wonderful piece of art.
Gerard hears this and immediately goes across the room. to the other side from Gufron's ramblings, and will instead stare at the curtains.
Aldrich will, if I may, notice this and actually take a stand next to Gerard, admire the curtains with him. Beautiful, are they not?
I suppose they are. He just sort of turns and glances at Aldrich with a quirked brow.
And he just kind of shrugs a little bit with a smile, a little bit of excitement in his expression. How have these outings been treating you?
I'm no worse for the wear. Not yet, anyway. Welcome. It's about time Clan Tremere showed up in force.
Yes. Cannot speak furthers, but there were urgent matters seeking my attention.
As they ever are.
I've only heard whispers of what I've missed. Perhaps there is more and details left unsaid.
Gerard simply nods and will let others enter.
Garnet will be standing close to the Cappadocians with his own Malkavian brothers, and he'll turn to the merchant's boats. Darling, are you all right? You look like you haven't slept in days. As he takes a sip of his wine.
Well, for the record, the angel's back on the window.
Oh, he makes note of that.
Merchant of Bones, with a cup of wine in his hand, or the blood, excuse me, just slightly turns, giving Garnet like the very, very small satisfaction of an awkward smile. It's just at the corner of his lips. Though he doesn't seem too appreciative of you pointing that out. He just says, might have been something of a long day.
I suppose, though, you could look up at that mosaic and things would just seem right as rain, wouldn't it? He points up to the gigantic mosaic, smirking.
He kind of just follows Garnet's finger, pointing at the mosaic, and looks it over, even though it's been blatantly in their face the past few days.
It doesn't matter. You just can't. You have to do a second look every time.
Yeah, I feel my soul coming to peace as we speak, Garnet.
Well, when you have the representations of, they're right in front of you, it is hard to see. They're even, dare say the mosaic is actually better looking than they are, darling. Quite fascinating, really. Stares at it, taking a sip. Have you seen the angel yet?
No. Which one?
Oh, it's around, casting its shadow on some and driving the light away from others. If you look closely, you'll see it. All depends on how you look, really. Sip.
Can you make me a perception awareness roll again?
Me?
Nah, I got it.
Okay. Where are we now? There. 7. Uh, 4.
It's a lot more than last time.
Yeah.
So you get quite a lot of information. I wouldn't say you're overwhelmed, but far from it. Although this is much more noticeably distracting than before, just because you're able to perceive more. So the sort of thrumming beneath your feet follows the same rhythmic pattern as before. Although this time it's almost it's more noticeable in like the force it projects. You can almost track it via sound. Like it's almost directly beneath you. A really long way down. I'm not sure. It sounds very much like a heartbeat.
So he'll be like mid-turn to say something to Merchant Bones, and his face will stop. He won't like scrunch up in like horror or anything. He'll just pause, almost as if he heard something. We'll just put the wine glass down on a desk and start almost tapping his fingers out to the heartbeat, almost the sound of it, and then look down, like tap his feet down and stare, twisting his head to the side. So that's what it is.
The right hand figure on the stained glass window, or the right stained glass window, has changed its portrait entirely. It should be noted only Garnet can perceive this.
Merchant of Bones just kind of gives him like a sidelong glance, not like out of like suspicion, but just more like, oh look, it's a Malkavian going, talking to himself again. I'll just sip my wine and watch.
I'll just awkwardly look at it. He'll just look up then and stare at the painting and stare back at the Merchant of Bones. Seems like things are about to get very, very interesting.
You don't say. What makes you think that? Other than it being the final day here.
When the room is practically beating with energy. Everyone's just waiting for that right moment, and it's gonna start beating faster and faster. You watch. We'll see if the heart actually manages to take it. Just lean back on the table, staring at the painting, smiling to himself.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the image for it. I do apologize. Here we go. Let's change into that.
Ooh.
The hands are kind of up against the glass. So it's not like it's just floating there.
It'll turn very
like its hands and face are pressed up against the glass. Appears to be a feminine figure, but it's like, again, it's like darkened, so you can't see the face or anything. You can just see kind of the kind of shadow and tone of the body.
He'll just turn to the Merchant of Bones and again, staring at. His eyes doesn't meet to him, but he almost turns his body, but his eyes are still staring over at the painting. We'll talk more outside of here, between the eyes. But let's just say there's something here that maybe you and I should be interested in. Aside from, of course, the wonderful politics and the mosaic, of course.
Yes.
The angel's left its window again. Funny enough, the left-hand window has not changed form at all. And has consistently not done so while you've been here.
Interesting. He just nod to himself and just watch and listen to if the Merchant of Bones says anything to him.
Yeah, he'll just say, "Yeah, I look forward to the talk," and kind of I mean, because he's curious as well, like just the way Garnet is acting, and though he probably doesn't have the same luck, or see the same thing as he does, but he'll definitely just try to see just anything that kind of stands out. Though even though he knows it's probably gonna be fruitless anyway, it's just natural reaction for him just to kind of follow suit with, I guess, Garnet, but he simply just falls silent. Simply just falls silent watching.
Is your kind of hair stand on end a little bit. There's a brief sense of intensity passes over you, kind of like foreboding, but no more information.
He kind of just runs his hand over his shoulders, kind of smoothing out the fabric of his of what he's wearing, and just kind of licks the corner of his lips, and just says, "I think I need more wine."
Kind of grin. Almost definitely. Smile as he just seems to be pouring more for himself as well.
Yeah. So you're looking forward to a spectacular ending to all this?
Well, these things always do end either spectacularly or horrifically boring. So let's see which happens yet.
Would you take any offense if I said I'd hope for something boring?
Not really. I'd rather be able to walk out of here at the end, wink, to be playfully, but seems to be quite ecstatic.
For me, doubly so, especially when I don't move as fast as others. And he just chuckles.
Well, let's mingle. Garnet will just start walking, probably looking for just mingling out with people, being sociable, keeping his eye on where Gerard and Aldrich and Merchant of Bones are, but just mingling in general.
Yeah. Merchant Bones just kind of shuffles out to just kind of do the mingling thing as well.
Memnon would ask of Thorvald if the armor fits well.
Is he talking to Madeline?
To Thorvald.
Ah, never mind.
Okay, Alex might be gone.
I'm here. Sorry.
Okay.
He says yes, if it's very well. Are you the creator?
Yes, I am. That I didn't have the chance to take your exact measurements. I was just concerned that, that it might be ill-fitting. I stand by my work, and I would not want you to think that the quality of your armor was anything less.
He slides his hands down the front of the armor. It seems to fit his purpose very well. He bows his head slightly.
That is good. I was intrigued to hear someone of your profession, I would believe. I enjoy a good fight myself every now and then.
Perhaps you and I can spar together.
I would enjoy that. Do you find your skills are profitable here in Odessa?
I do. He holds out his hand. Thorvald, Leonate of Clangangle.
Memnon would take his hand and give it a firm shake. Memnon, neonate of Clan Lasombra.
He smiles broadly. Ah, yes. Well, I have fighting pits, which I frequent. Perhaps you'll visit me there when things have settled down a bit in Odessa.
I would be most honored.
Well, I cannot say that the fighting pits is much of a challenge for Torvald, having survived so long. But, well, it is quite an occasion to see, with one's own eyes. She comes over and smiles at Torvald and greets Memnon.
He lowers his head to Madeline, keeping up appearances in court.
Yes, Memnon would address Madeline as a Stanislas. It is an honor to be in your presence again. You would like to know that your request has been filled, perhaps, when the evening's engagement has ended, or whatever night is convenient for you. You should come by and see my work.
Oh, I would very much love to. I do believe, well, depending on how long this will take, I do believe it. Perhaps tomorrow I should have a couple of hours.
Splendid. I myself am proud of the artwork I have created for you.
Oh, I am intrigued now.
I will let it speak for itself when the time comes.
Wonderful. Please. You must allow me to pay for it at least. Even though you waived the payment.
Well, if you would cover just the bare minimum of the material cost, and perhaps a minor assistance in an endeavor somewhere down the road.
She smiles. Of course.
So, Thorvald, if I inquire, does the Clan Gangrel keep a place within the city walls of Odessa?
Sorry, what did he ask? What place?
If the Gangrel keep a place in the city.
The Gangrel keep the wilds.
Is there good game out in the wilds?
Yes.
I'm sorry, what was that?
He smirks and says, "Oh yes."
It has been a long time since I've had a. I hope it would not be a. How do you say a infringement if I would come out and hunt there one evening? Is there some prerequisite for the honor hunting in a gangrel domain?
I believe you're usually required a guide, but I can ask my primogen.
Thank you. I'm most appreciative.
Thorwald has a kind of sense of tenseness about him in the wake of what is going to happen with the praxis. It's easy for Madeline to read. Seems to be watching her more than usual. Just watching people around her. And watching the crowds.
Madeline, for her part, is, as always, seems to be enjoying and seems to just almost revel in this sort of setup, this sort of arrangement. What is Garnet still tripping balls at the painting, or the
I mean, he's walking around, but I'm assuming, yeah, he's tripping balls as he's walking. You know, walking around, mingling, but still keeping his eyes will filter over every now and again.
And he was with the Merchant of Bones?
Yes.
Yes.
MLB broke off, though. They broke off.
Yeah, they broke off and mingled into the crowd.
Madeline will go over to the Merchant of Bones, leave the druggie to himself, and Malkavian. No. She will just come over and she will just say,
Lady Astor will come on over as well.
Lady
As he's
Astor.
approached by the two, he just kind of gives a wry smile.
Lady Astor, for the briefest moments, look as if she's been upstaged, but we'll just make a polite curtsy before the seneschal of his domain, and her clanmate.
A very good evening to the both of you.
A very good evening to the both of you as well. And he gives Madeline a small bow as well, and gives a nod to Lady Astor.
Good evening, Seneschal. I see your Elysium has been a rousing success.
I am merely helping my prince. It is truly the keeper at Elysium. I cannot take the credit. But your words are flattering, nonetheless.
An impressive keeper to keep so many easily riled Canaanites also well behaved in one place.
It is fortunate, but we are blessed with a prince who makes quite good choices when it comes to his court.
Well, if I may be so bold, I would argue that a prince who does not tends to be on the shorter side of their reign.
God damn it, Chris, why do you do this to me? I'm gonna have to roll something now. It's gotta be a courage roll. Yeah, it's gonna be a courage roll.
Oh, are you rolling courage over?
Because does Madeline have the balls to say something extremely fucking
Fair enough.
borderline offensive to a Lady Astor right now?
Oh, I know, yeah.
Yeah. Fuck. Okay. Madeline will just smile to Lady Astor and she will just say, "Indeed, that seems to be the case. I cannot tell that what choices were made. They seemed fine choices, all of them, but the loss of the prince weighs heavy on all of us."
Wow, in front of the two fucking Cappadocians. Really?
Yeah, she's pretty much implying that their prince essentially made a bad choice. That is.
I actually need to look up her self-control. I think it's quite high. I don't think she'll need to roll, to be honest, because she didn't really care that much about the prince. But
why do you do this to me, Chris?
I might just
Excuse you, you did this to yourself, young man. You had to open your mouth.
I know.
Yeah,
it's like
don't provoke frenzy, jeez.
Like that meme that's been going around of the dude shooting another dude and then looking at the camera and going, "Why did the storyteller do this to me?"
Yeah, exactly. Why did he? Chris, that's bad, Chris.
It's like only 4F1, I think, for like verbal provocations. It's 4 or
But
5.
it's like difficulty 3 or 4. It's not that high.
Yeah, it's like really low.
Well, it wouldn't be the first
Oh
time the
shit!
lady asked
Okay,
her
she
Final
makes
Day
it.
of Elysium.
She doesn't have the best luck on her fucking self-control checks. She makes it. Everything is fine. Just the sort of kind of non-response Stepford smile. As a bit of an awkward silence ensues. Considering what you said was insanely on the nose.
Technically, she started it. Kind of.
Didn't.
Kind of. Shh.
But yeah, man.
I mean, for
Motion of
real?
Bones.
No. Wait. Is that your answer? Is that an Ancilla's answer? She started it. Wow.
So, yeah, Motion of Bones. Man,
Mm,
Madeline just implied some shit.
yeah.
Pretty fucking bluntly.
I'm just hang on a minute. I'm just gonna make a quick perception.
Do I have to roll? Do I need to roll courage for this too, or
Good
something?
on that.
No, I
It
don't
was
think.
more.
I
It
don't
was
think.
more directed towards Astor, since she was the one who said something.
This is extremely offensive to Cappadocians in general, though. Like you're smack talking a recently deceased prince of theirs in the domain that they're now deciding who's going to be prince of. Still kind of reeling from that loss. Kind of kicking a dog while it's down,
But there is good news, however. The merchant and I did discuss, not too long ago, that I did save certain tomes of knowledge, very important to your clan. I, however, myself, saved well, let us just say a tome that was also of quite much import to my own clan and our secrets. Very soon I will return these tomes to you. It is lore of your clan after all. The prince has agreed to your request. On the well, the agreement that Clan Cappadocian will assist the princedom in the future in a small matter. Nothing major.
He kind of just pulls his cane kind of before him, puts his hands together on top of it, giving her a rather almost seemingly like slightly protective, almost standoffish kind of gesture to her, especially after what she just said. And he kind of cants his head to the side and just says, yes, we have spoken about that, although I don't recall your prince actually mentioning something of help regarding a small matter. He actually just said we could actually pick it up here while we're here for the Elysium. I have no clue what exactly you're talking about.
Well, I would hope that a token of goodwill between the two clans would be understandable, since I did risk my own life saving these books, or at least great bodily harm. They would have been lost to the fire.
This was while the prince was still active, yes. I'm sure this could not possibly have been interpreted as a breach of his domain. Or our clan secrets.
No, of course not. She smiles.
Either way, we will discuss this matter after the Elysium. I would not want to sour the events.
Of course not.
And he just kind of looks to Lady Aster for a moment. Just
It was
making sure that she's okay.
she's holding it together. I'll have a roll for it actually, because this is her strong suit. So she will definitely. Oh, and she has a specialty relating to malicious intent.
That shade, though.
Yeah. 4 successes. She works to hide her emotions. So yeah, she's really hiding the things she's thinking about doing to Madeline right now.
Right. Fuck it. I'll just roll. See what Madeline sees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh, okay. So she's very well composed, very, very well composed. You detect a hint of malicious intent.
You think?
But she's very, very good at hiding it. She's clearly putting on like she looks to to the average onlooker she would look very polite and courteous.
Madeline will just smile at her, and there's been like somewhat of a facade of a just polite, very very slight polite smile. Madeline just lets all of that fade away, and she looks quite well. They can roll P&E, but they don't really need to. She seems very very polite, and she just looks at. She looks pretty much straight in Lady Astor's eyes as she says, "If the slings and arrows comes when we are at the top, there is no challenge at all. If the insults and all the maliciousness comes when we are at our weakest, it is then we are truly made stronger." And she just smiles, looks to the both of them and says, "Have a very good evening, the both of you." And moves on.
Of course, Seneschal. And she will just kind of, just turn her back straight to you and just say, "Come, Selim, let us talk."
And he just nods and offers her his cup of wine that's basically still pretty full if she wants it, if she's not holding anything.
She'll take it and down it. Wretched bitch.
And here I just said I wanted a anticlimactic end to this soiree.
She will
I guess
get
it
what
was
she
too
deserves in
fast.
time.
As we all do. But maybe her in particular, who knows?
Oh, most assuredly her in particular. I don't want any friendly fire of Irene or Lady Katerina now.
No. Irene's been much of a pleasant sort these late nights. I would like to keep up a good relationship with her for the time being.
That Bruger's been far more quiet tonight. Maybe he's preparing a big speech, or maybe he just realizes he's irrelevant.
Well, let's hope it's the later. I will not want such a zealot.
I'm sure he'll be sticking around either way.
Have some plans for him, though. Perhaps something of a bit of irony, perhaps.
By the way, did anything I know this might seem like a strange question, but did anything happen between you and Henry? I know you had a significant boon over him, and he seems to have gotten very standoffish with me this night ago.
And Merchant of Bones just kind of looks around and kind of like just steps in a little bit closer and just says, yeah, I had to call in a favor.
Ah,
You
I
know how
figured
that
as much.
goes. I apologize if it's ruined anything on your end. I did not wish for that to happen. But
The onus is on him to be responsible and courteous in how he deals with others. If not, I will simply find business elsewhere. The city is not short on merchants, mortal or otherwise. And he's just been pushing up prices for my retainers.
that is not good. Perhaps we can maybe dissuade him from doing so, or again, just not give him any business.
I'm sure he's just going through a phase. But yes, it might be wise to have a word with one of his clan. If I may ask, what did you trade in the boon for? To anger him as such. Must have been not just an average trading in of a boon. Must have been very contrary to his interests.
It was something about going against his primogen.
She pauses a little bit at that. Fascinating. What was it that went against his primogen?
Have you heard the rumors regarding Clan Venture?
Yes, I'm aware that Herman has not been putting on a she'll actually say, she'll say Herman, then she'll say, my apologies, Primogen Herman has not been putting on the best of displays over the course of this season. Did hear that the Venture were engaged in some sort of plan, but aren't we all?
Indeed. Well, I will sum up and say that it was a sudden change of heart after a certain outburst and disgrace. And calls had to be made, and thus there be some very unhappy people in Clan Venture.
I can imagine the Primogen will be immensely displeased. I certainly hope that doesn't come back to haunt you. Or us, for that matter.
Let us hope not, but well, if it does, well, we'll try to be prepared as best we can.
Yes, I find boons can be tricky things. They must ultimately be repaid, but no one takes well to repaying them for the most part.
I did well to remind him that, yeah, well, he wouldn't have the pleasure of being dissatisfied with me if it wasn't for the services that I've tendered to him. And he simply acquiesced after that.
The more uncivilized of our kind are rarely grateful.
You're right.
That's very interesting. So we're going to have a candidate that's not Herman.
Somebody more like us, progressive.
Good. This city needs it desperately. I remember when this city... Oh. When it used to be a bastion for the younger up-and-comers.
Like all trends, they start, they die, and they come back. It's time to start the trend again.
Took about 47 years. Oh well. Given our given our arrangements, I'm sure that it will not be a problem for them to take the position. Do we know who they are? Or have the venture left that as a surprise to us?
If I recall correctly, after speaking with Gerard, it was one named Karima.
Just gonna roll something. Um, she's a sheriff, if I recall.
Hmm.
Our allies are taking a risk bringing her here.
Indeed. But what can you do with such little time?
And few options. If only we had more qualified candidates among our own clan.
Indeed. We wanted an elder, but... well, some sacrifices have to be made, such as the way of life and death.
Sadly so.
Either way, it makes me look towards the future and what things it could bring. It'll be a breath of fresh air, perhaps. If it goes through and all.
She gives you a sardonic look as you use that term. Given the clan you come from.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, if only I could remember how. Well, it was a fine discussion to have with you. I'll still be around if you need to talk further, but I think I will catch up on local gossip. Clearly, you have me at a disadvantage.
I'm sure you'll rectify that soon enough. Oh, and did I tell you that we've come to arrangements with Malkavians?
Yes, I heard. She has that fledgling has been involved in lots of unsavory activity. She was also working with the enemy. Or for it. Unaware of its actual origins, of course.
Well, too bad that does not excuse one's actions, regardless. Either way,
quite.
just thought I would let you know that.
She's also been involved with a salubri.
Yes, one named Quills. I thought I told you that. I did not tell you about that. If not, I'll regale you about the details later.
In any case, I believe I have all of them now. She smiles rather wickedly.
Oh, right, yes. He'll be another interesting target to worry about later.
Perhaps not. It appears that, if nothing else, at least the warrior caste of their clan is on the way out. Or should I say bloodline? They are rarely considered a clan outside of these areas now.
Oh, well. too bad, I guess.
True, but I would urge caution. We would not wish other clans to take the same attitude if that were to happen to someone such as us. The Tremere set a very dangerous precedent.
We did. Food for thought, then. You brought up a good point. I guess we'll have to make certain contingencies just in case, considering.
Well, for now, they remain our allies, I suppose.
I suppose. For now. You know how fickle we are. But let us hope no time soon.
Let us hope. I'll see you shortly.
Indeed. Enjoy your evening.
Likewise. And she'll cut to you and walk off, leaving you alone. And we'll switch to a to Gerard.
What? Gerard is still admiring curtains.
As you're admiring curtains, someone walks up beside you and just says, "Well, I'm glad to see you found something to keep yourself entertained with."
Gerard will glance to this individual.
Hey!
Gerard nods and then looks back at it. Honestly, there isn't a great deal more interesting to look at around here.
Mosaic is quaint, I guess.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Out of character, the person talking to Gerard at this moment, what appearance score is she?
4, I think.
In that case, a voice will be heard not too far from them. Madeline will slowly approach the two, and she will just say, "Certain places, saying such would be considered an insult, Gerard," as she gestures to this woman. "Certainly, she is. A lot more aesthetically pleasing than curtains, or even that fine mosaic."
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, as ever.
Aldrich, good evening.
He offers a polite bow of head in return. Good evening to you as well, Lady Madeline. And how do you fare these nights?
Quite busy. Gerard, and I don't think Madeline has met this one before. She will ask Gerard, "Would you introduce me? Or are you not acquainted?"
At this point, Gerard will sort of turn, seeing as how the conversation has sort of moved to behind him, and will clasp his hands behind his back and say, "Yes, this is Andrea Aldian, one of my clan. Andrea, this is Madeline of Clan La Sombra, seneschal of this fair domain."
Madeline does a small curtsy.
Close on the
Andrea
heels
does the
of
same.
Madeline, Thorvald, who, at the assembled group, he does bow deeply in respect.
Andrea will bow to Madeline as she's essential of this domain. She more or less tunes Torvald out. Kind of like a sire.
Huh?
She's a little bit like your sire. She doesn't even kind of register her existence. She bows
Oh.
towards Madeline, but more or less kind of is almost like you're just kind of outsider to the conversation. She doesn't really register you at all.
Doesn't really bother him because he's used to it.
Yeah.
I mean, for some people that would be like really rude, but he's
Yeah.
exceptionally used to it, so he just.
Sophie Lothland. Rise up, Anna Gravel. Yes. She'll yeah, she simply curses to you, Madeline, and says, Seneschal.
It's always good to have such noble attendance. I do not know. I cannot remember to have seen Herman, the primogenitor of your clan here, but I'm sure he is somewhere in here. Well, almost everyone who has attended is here tonight, so.
I believe he is present, but not within this hall.
Ah. So, how have you been enjoying Cameron?
For some indeterminate reason.
How have you and everyone here? I hope that you have all enjoyed Elysium thus far.
Quite. It's been eventful.
Well, I arrived late, I must say. There are pleasing features.
I'm sure your clan keeps you most busy, good Aldrich.
And with a smile, he gives a polite nod of head in confirmation.
Enjoyable indeed, but with a great many questions looming over us.
Hopefully not for much longer. This is this night in particular is one of, hopefully, of answers.
We shall see.
I'm sure if any one of these Elysiums is going to be providing answers, it will be this one.
No pressure.
No pressure. Gonna have to make literally a maxed out fucking roll. All of these characters are fucking huge amounts of subterfuge. I shouldn't guess 3 successes. Subterfuge Harpy Squad, go!
Gerard doesn't bother.
Gerard doesn't even bother. No point wasting time acting like you don't give a shit when really does it even matter if people know? Probably better if people do, to be honest.
So obviously, he's actually very good at lying.
He just does not care to this evening.
Indeed.
Yes.
I do hope that we are not taking up your time, Seneschal. There are a great many guests crowded into this place.
Ah, such an illustrious personage such as yourself demands quite a bit of my time, I would say.
But the guests, in the meantime, are throwing their own party.
Oh yes.
As Irene has unknowingly fallen into a trap. The darling trap. As she has made the
Second
mistake of approaching Gufran, who was with Garnet,
See,
whilst that they were
I,
marveling over the wondrous mosaic and the wondrous stained glass.
Oh, oh boy.
I should have.
Lady Irene,
Darling,
what a wonderful evening. You look so radiant tonight as well. How do you do? How do you fare?
Sir Gufran, Sir Garnet, it is a pleasure to see the both of you here.
I wish Hadid is also with these guys.
So,
Oh, yes!
yes.
Hello, Irene.
I'll need so many subterfuge rolls for this.
You're having a pleasant evening.
Gary will like slide up beside Irene, like put like a mantis like hand around her shoulder as well, and smile at her. You look absolutely radiant, darling, both in the mosaic and in real life as well.
Can I make an etiquette roll to step away without insulting him?
Like a mantis.
Like I'm literally, like he just
The
slowly
sides when he
coils down.
comes in.
Sorry, I forgot to listen to you while I was laughing. What did you say?
He's like, you look as lovely as you do in the mosaic, darling. Such a fine mosaic as well. Like cranes her head up with his finger, like so she's looking at it too.
She looks up as she's seen it many times. And
Oh, she
she'll
looks
nod.
absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, she does indeed. Behold the fine regalia, these wondrous drapes, this perfect cloth. Surely a master's at work here.
No doubt from your wares, sir.
I wouldn't comment on that.
You
These
like
are
that.
too many compliments, but thank you very much. Yeah, I'm gonna roll subterfuge, but I don't have my sheet up yet.
Behold,
It's like,
Wait,
I'm a
I-
gamma matron, this is too much, I want out.
the other fucking 360 from that conversation that happened over there and this one.
I mean, I still have 4 successes, so you know,
Yay.
yay.
Again.
Oh no, I don't see it yet.
No, I don't see it.
Not yet. So Garnet leans down and gets really close. You know, not like up face to face, like not skin touching, but close. So how are you doing then, little bird, in this room full of vipers, among such fine gentlemen such
No,
as
you did not call her little birds.
Little bird. Little baby bird.
among such fine gentlemen such as Gufran and Omar. For after all, aren't we the most fabulous people to be accompanied with? Puts his arm around Gufran, you know, like buddy buddy type thing.
Ah, yes. Dear Sir Garnet.
I can assure you I'm most humbled in your presence. All of yours.
But if I am anything but the most valiant steed, I shall have your head.
What? What? I did not catch that. What did he say?
He said, sir, if I am anything but the most valiant steed, I shall have your head.
Don't be ridiculous, Omar. You are the most wonderful.
Indeed, Omar. Like a ray of sunshine on a cloudy day. Puts his
Come.
other arm around him.
I
Come.
must say that does unsettle me. I hope I do not disconcert you so.
Oh no, darling, never. Have you tried the wine, Irene? Pulling her, probably getting closer and closer as he pulls the three of them, basically circling her.
I think if she has not, she soon will be.
Getting so much willpower back just from this. Thank you.
We're getting so much willpower back just from
Yeah.
this. What are you talking about?
we need to remember this.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, shit. Somber, how much should eat here? How much willpower is getting back for this? Not much.
As the whole fucking shark circle continues.
So, I got it. How's your evening been? I do not believe we have had much opportunities to speak.
It's such a shame. I heard such amazing things from you from Gufron here. Taps Gufron on the back of the head. I've been good, enjoying the sights, the scenery, and enjoying the mosaic. Most importantly, such fine detail. Never realized Irene's eyes were so colorful. Looks at Irene, almost like up, down, like examining her eyes as well.
Oh, she'll even bet them for you.
She's picturesque.
I'm so very grateful towards Lord Ulrich for this wonderful piece of art.
Perhaps we should get a mosaic together, Gufron.
Perhaps, wouldn't that just be lovely? That would be an excellent idea.
I would pay good money to see yours lined with mosaics. Well, your stores lined with mosaics.
Well, why don't you join in, Omar?
We get the three of us together. Gufron could make it. I could parade it on my horses, and it could be all around your shop, darling.
Oh, well, I wouldn't be the one able to make them. My artistic skills are not even close to this magnificence.
Looks over at Irene. Like, are yours type of stare. Do you know what I mean? I mean, you could ask your sire for us, a mosaic of us three together.
Well, if you want, I can most certainly ask who the artist was who made this one and send him your way.
Oh, but alas, I heard that this person has already passed on to another village, to another town.
Well, perhaps if Sir Garnet could lend you your fastest horse, you could catch up with him.
Oh, now that's an idea.
It's a very polite way of saying, fuck off, please.
What do you say, Garnet? Would you say this is a good idea for the three of us to go charging into the moonlights to fetch this master crafter and put him to work?
I mean, we could, it could be an adventure. We could even take Irene along as our little guide. What do you think, Irene?
I would be a very ill guide, I can assure you, Sir Garnet.
Did I hear someone say a master craftsman? Memnon just slides in. Small group.
Why, yes, good sir. We were talking about the individual who made this wonderful mosaic.
But I do not believe we need to go looking for one, for we have a master craftsman right here.
We do? My apologies. I am not acquainted with yourself, good sir. Allow me to introduce myself. As he... Oh, shit falls down.
Memnon would first give Omar a pleasant smile and a thank you for such kind words. And yes, he'll introduce himself to Gufran and say, my name is Memnon. I am, yes, a craftsman myself, though more of kind that is functionality. This, though, pointing to the mosaic, that is true artwork.
Yes, yes. I must agree, this is absolutely stunning to behold. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Gufran Wassam, a humble neonate of the clan of Set. A very well-to-do merchant. His only interest, serve the community.
Can I pull a perception, empathy, or subterfuge on that?
You can absolutely do that.
Right, which one would you prefer?
I don't mind. What are you trying to catch?
Well, I guess, yeah, a matter of honesty, like if there's anything behind that, if he's really genuinely doing it for the good of this small people.
I can already tell you he's not.
It's the Setites.
You don't have to roll for that. He is not.
Okay, game recognizing game. Awesome. Yes. When those of us who have the ability must do, we do so in service of something greater, don't we?
Yes. Yes. We must all put into work.
And good work makes for good folks.
Mm. And more money, obviously.
And I was about to say.
But a trifle. So, a necessity.
But a pleasant necessity.
Mm.
It is a means to an end.
Well, money can buy you many things, but it's always good to see which person that keeps coming back no matter what you make them or give them. It's always much more fun that way. Looks over at Irene and winks.
She'll smile.
Lady Irene, it is good to see you here yet again.
So, Memnon, it's a pleasure. Are you enjoying Elysium so far?
It is not a matter of whether I enjoy it or not. That I am doing my part and that I am here is all that is necessary.
Oh, now that is a healthy attitude to have.
Forgive me, Omar. That is not to say the company is not pleasant. Simply, I believe the function of the Elysium is to be somewhat productive. Yes?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, indeed. There is much going on behind the scenes and all of that. And, of course, all of the... He pauses for a moment. All of the lovely gossip that we are indulging in right now. And, of course, sharing in delightful company. Such is the good Lady Irene.
Thank you, Sir Omar. Although I've missed this gossip that you're talking about.
Oh, well, there are several things, I suppose. I have heard that the Cappadocian Primogen has been sealing himself away for some sort of inevitable revolt against his clan that will never happen. He is probably encouraging it by not showing up to the Elysium. It was thrown to decide, or partially to decide, who would become the prince. And if you don't show up to have your say, then you won't have any.
Oh, well, that's an unwise decision.
Very much so, if I may be so bold. Of course, he is an old ram, but the ignorant neonate, I'm sure he has much going on that I could barely even begin to comprehend.
Does this Primogen have the strength behind his conviction?
I do not know. I have not asked him. But if he does, I doubt that it's something he will have for much longer.
And those whom are of his clan but may disagree.
Oh yes, most of his clan are here. You should meet the Lady Asta. She is an absolutely delightful lady. Absolute delight.
Perhaps I will.
I will look forward to it.
Mm.
Oh yes, I am surprised that she has not taken a position of Primogentor herself, or this new Merchant of Bones figure. The city is ripe for a shake-up.
Then
Perhaps
why
there's...
have you next? I apologize.
No, no, Irene, you go right ahead. A smile down at her.
Sir Barnett, please go ahead.
Well, we lean down.
Please.
Well, this is kind of your Elysium, and you are a high clan and I'm a low clan. Although I may be an ancilla, but still. You know, I have to keep up appearances and all that, darling. Winks.
Well, then let me just say that I will give you the honor of speaking first.
Oh, Irene, you do me such honor with this. No, we'll turn to Omar.
To be fair, she does have a throne dedicated to her in the
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of doing you an honor.
Yeah, that's why he's just like puts his hand on his heart and everything. There's no tone of mocking, you know, so genuine.
I'm sure.
Oh yeah, you can roll against if you want. I don't mind. I really don't mind. But he will turn to Omar. I suppose when you have to wait for the right action, Omar, you can't just waltz in and just take. You just have to wait for the right time. Perhaps, maybe, we don't know. The city could be shaken up and we haven't even known it yet.
That is true, I suppose. I was also present at the... I'm not sure if the rest of you were present. I know you were, Irene. Oh, you are quite famous, yes. But I do not believe the rest of you were present at the open forum. Ended rather abruptly after a confrontation Herman had with the good lady Irene here. Very rude for one of his clan. Very, very uncouth in his behavior, yes. Very confrontational. This is an Elysium. You have standards. I'm surprised one of his clan, age, and stature would risk all of that simply to face down the good lady Irene.
Looks over at Irene.
A rather
Eyebrowing.
unfortunate event, I can assure you. I was perhaps the one who spoke out of place.
I can't imagine that, Irene. Grins. You always make such wise-minded decisions.
I mean, I can't even respond to this because I'm judging my own character. Like, yes, she does. I'm so at odds with my own character here. Fuck.
Do it. Do it. You know you want to.
She'll smile politely at Garnet. Well, I try to. And the discussion at hand is just... It wouldn't lead us in the right direction. It wouldn't have led us forward, but only looking back. And whilst I understand the importance of history and that the effects of it ripple into the future, we should not let ourselves be held back by history if it means that would destroy our future. It was as simple as that. And I just felt the need to speak out.
Turns a smirk on his face. What do you think, Gufron? I think she has the right mindset, at least.
Oh, yes. Yes. A humble response to a humble question to an excellent moment to prove herself. I think that's quite a right mindset. And, well, as he kind of looks Irene up and down. Overall, yeah, yes. Though, I will say, and this goes obviously for all of us, everybody has room to grow.
Not you, Omar. You're perfect already, darling. You know, who like pat him on the back.
I'm afraid you have me at a disadvantage here. I have no idea what it is that you speak of. Would you be so kind as to enlighten me?
Is she saying that to Gufran?
Oh yeah.
Okay. God damn it.
It appears Irene will never be enlightened.
Probably not. It's fine.
Well, in my humble opinion, what is and is not a great mindset is depending on who you are, who you choose to be, and how you present yourself. The great mindset of one might be different from another, and as such, there are decisions that I question that have been made in the past, and I am sure that you too have decisions that you question that were made by me. However, in this case, it's a simple difference of opinion in how to proceed in a certain situation.
A difference of opinion that we have. Also, Gufran, I have to say, I've known you for quite some time now. Your opinions are never humble.
He'll smile at that. Oh, and here I was trying to present myself as, well, something new. But it seems that you know me so well. I'm so proud.
I doubt I know you very well.
Memnon
You know
will
me
ask,
better than most.
Memnon would ask, well, first he would say, perhaps I am a little bit at a loss. What is the matter of these opinions? Trying to understand the conversation.
No, pardon, sorry?
He was just inquiring as to what is the exact matter of these opinions, as he's not quite sure. Memnon wasn't there when this altercation went down with Irene, so he's just trying to get caught up.
Well, my dear sir, the example that I'm pointing towards, perhaps not the one that Irene would agree with, Lady Irene would agree with me. It's some of the recent hunters that have been plaguing the townships nearby. Both the
Yes.
lady and I had very different approaches in how to deal with them. Isn't that right, my lady?
Indeed.
Ah, got a smile broad.
Yes, I've heard
And
of
judging by the results, it would seem that Irene's was the more fruitful of the two.
People do like their egos stroked and their faith every now and again. It's quite simple, really. Irene did a very sound tactic.
Yes, hypocrites they are.
Oh, Do I detect a slight hint of resentment there, Gufran?
Oh, Omar. There's never a slight hint of resentment to these people.
This is true. But yes, Arin engaged in the most astute action. And a just one.
And even made it so that a member of Clan Asamite was returned.
Yes, indeed. I believe the coterie at the open forum was credited as a whole for that one.
Of course.
Wow.
We did the work as a whole.
Well, be that as it may, I know very well whose triumph this is. As he looks at Irene.
Why, Lady Irene, you are more bold than you have led me to believe.
The perfect statement of the century.
Oh my god, I feel like this is Irene now. Like, it's so weird. But it's so true. I've never seen a more honest statement made about Irene.
I can assure you, Simamnon, I'm not bold. I simply acted with, well, in the direction that I saw fit, and I am quite sure if matters would have gone differently, well, I would not have been standing here.
Well, you can say that again. But we were faithful enough that you succeeded.
Irene, if I may offer you some friendly advice.
Of course.
If you are truly not that bold, then I would think you are blessedly and fortuitously naive. Although, either or, you could always play to your advantage.
I mean, that's what she's currently doing, I suspect. It's a very good tactic, Irene. You smile big and broad. I'm sure Gufran is positively livid that he didn't think of it first.
Ah, the dagger strikes in my heart. Oh, how could I have not seen this all along? Woe is me. Woe is me, Sir Garnet.
Let's not attack Irene's character now.
Oh,
you
no,
can just pat Irene on the shoulder very gently.
Oh no, there was no
She is
attack.
nothing but
merely a compliment. After all, she's just like we are. Grins big and broad.
And so Irene is the purest flower.
Oh, I would never call myself that.
I'm gonna make a P&E check on Irene. Just cause.
I have two.
Just the bully Irene thing.
We're probably going to fail, but you know what?
I'm not going to fail with
You know what?
four.
I'm going to roll a subterfuge roll. Might not be for what you expect it to be, but yeah.
I'll get on all that P&E, why not?
Only 3 successes.
I got 4, mate. I got 4.
I have 3 successes as well.
Okay. Irene does seem to enjoy the attention, Garnet.
Mm-hmm.
But she tries to hide it.
Garnet just gives Irene like this most knowing smile, like, yeah, I saw that. This big smile. I saw that. And he'll lean down, probably like, not putting an arm around her or anything, but lean down, like almost like if he leaned down any further, his back would snap, type of thing. Because Garnet's like 6'8", so he's really tall. Or it's all right to like it, by the way. Pretty soon, you start enjoying it more and more.
Her eyes just grow like slightly wider. She looks at him. She says, "It is not very becoming of a lady to enjoy the attention that she's been given."
Even a lady can sometimes indulge in deserved attention, Lady Irene. It's called part of being nobility. Just make sure you don't enjoy yourself too much. That's when it really gets interesting, we'll say.
I'm trying to come up with the right English word because I know how I want to respond, but I can't come up with the word. So, meh.
Almost
Try
fingers
to convey.
asleep, and they're just kind of tapping against each other a little bit. I was kind of analyzing this situation quite carefully as it develops. But we're going to switch back to the other conversation now. Of Aldrich, Gerard, Madeleine, Torvald, and Andrea. Man, that group of neonates over there, and Garnet, they're sure feisty, eh?
Boisterous.
Young flames burn hot, my lady. He says.
She doesn't say they're feisty, God no. She says she remarks on the volume of her room.
Well, it is an attribute of youth.
Well, I would believe all of us would know about that.
At some point, I was probably louder than I am today. And very much less wise than I am today. That much is very certain.
I cannot even begin to imagine.
Thor smirks. I can envision it.
It does not take that much of an imagination.
With due respect, I was not speaking to you.
Can you repeat that? That was somewhat low.
It was really
She
quiet.
says to Torvald, with due respect, I was not speaking to you.
No. There's no reason to be disrespectful to our friends hosting this Elysium.
Well, she wasn't saying that to Madeleine. Saying that to
Just
Torvald.
saying it to Torvald.
I know.
Oh, fair enough.
Thick as thieves, those two are.
Quite so.
Aldrich will reach over to a silver platter that is walking past him. Will quickly retrieve a glass of wine.
Oh, yes. Blood wine. Yummy.
And indulge.
Madeline will respond, and she will just say, quite true, but as far as I remember, an Elysium is truly where the neonates and Scylla elders can speak freely to one another.
Must have been in very charitable Elysiums.
I guess.
Thorwald, for his part, he doesn't say anything. There's a flicker of I suppose it's sort of like an emotional wince. As if he was preparing for something that didn't happen.
Well, as Madeline has said, this is a place where we must all coincide as peacefully as possible. There's no reason we should not comport ourselves charitably, even to those who may not stand at our level.
Gerard knows, of course, much more than I would of Elysiums and its customs, having himself been a keeper back in the day.
Once upon a time.
Most prestigious. Speaking of prestigious, Gerard, she'll say, Lord Gerard, and she'll just kind of like just whisper to him fairly quietly. Our guest is here. She's in talks right now. I'm going to check on her.
Can I make a perception alertness roll to see if I can hear that?
Yeah, because it isn't like you are just in front of him, so def 8 to like hear whispers, I think.
I believe, yeah, 3 successes.
Okay, yeah, you catch most of that. You catch 60% of that sentence. Yeah, basically it's 20% per success. So, yeah,
Okay.
something about a guest arriving.
Gerard doesn't bother whispering. He just says, "With all haste, milady."
I'll let you know if anything happens. And yeah, we'll just go Seneschal, Lord Gerard, Lord Aldrich, and we'll curtsy to the three of them, and then walk away. Leaving y'all alone.
Does Gerard leave as well?
No.
No.
You'll have to.
Follow her if you want.
Sorry.
You'll have to forgive my friend. Sometimes old habits are hard to break, even in times of tumultuous change.
Thank you for your words. It's quite all right. I'm used to it.
I'm sure you are. But things being as they are, I would rather present a more progressive face than some of my clan have comported themselves recently. You are of Clan Gangrel, if I recall correctly. He says it, Torval.
I am.
It is good that Johanna informed before her sudden departure and before my knowledge of her other activities. It is good that she informed me that my men were inconveniencing your hunting grounds. That was not my intention.
He shakes his head. I've put the thought out of my mind. It's transgressions of the past.
Excellent. Seneschal. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No. Sorry. He's looking to Madeline, sort of like, you're probably gonna have to Peony it, because he's looking at her to. He's trying to say something with his looks rather than out loud.
Yeah, she doesn't. Nope.
So he just stands there sort of uncomfortably.
Madeline smiles and revels a little bit in this.
I shall roll a peony. Giggles. No.
Give it a shot.
That is awesome. I love you, Gerard.
What
that is great.
did you get?
No, it's just like he has 2 dice peony. I love that. That is the best.
There's 2.
Did you get any successes?
Yeah, he got 2 successes. Ulrich got 2 successes.
Thorvald seems to be asking permission for something.
Gerard will look to Madeline and say, Seneschal, shall we be expecting the prince?
Oh, I would certainly hope so.
It's been such a long time. I would like to pay him my respects for this grand place he has built. Even as an outsider, it is most impressive.
Well, there is a reason he has called this Elysium with this purpose. And, well, the future of Edessa will very much impact the future of Demaran.
It seems a role that he's so very comfortable with.
I suppose it very much depends on the outcome of tonight.
I suppose we shall see.
If you'll excuse me, I need to speak to somebody.
Please.
Thorvald excuses himself, and he will go looking for his sire in grey.
Okay. It's around this time the doors open quite wildly. Not everyone on the screen enters. I just lack the space on my minicam, and I literally have 12 slots. The regent is already present. It has been for a fair while now. However, the Ventru Primogen, as it were, kind of ends up striding on in, and sort of loud sounds of doors make as they kind of shunt it open. Cause a bit of attention. The keeper kind of heads on over to make sure everything's all right, and for the most part, he largely ignores her, and she's visibly insulted by his large, kind of lack of courtesy on this issue. But other than that, people just kind of get back to what they're doing. So he just kind of takes to a corner and begins mingling shortly afterwards. The Cappadocian Primogen slinks on in. As well. Yeah, and everyone who remembers that lovely place, particularly you, Gerard, yes, Gwyn has been here for quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
Living up life.
Excellent.
His activities seem fairly innocuous, though, and he hasn't gone out of his way to antagonize you.
Gerard will view these people entering and will watch them passively.
The Cappadocian Primogen Laird largely just keeps sort of entry one. And they appear to be having a fairly heated discussion. You can roll me such an alertness if you want to listen in on any of these conversations. The regent is largely mingling, but you'd all notice he's not really that far away from them at any one point. Gwyn is just completely doing his own thing and appears to be all over the place.
Eventually, Gerard will excuse himself from this group and go over to Herman.
You are going to be interrupted briefly. Someone walks on up to you. Andrew will walk on up to you. Also someone you do not recognize. She's actually dressed like super practically, almost a little bit kind of vagabondish. Like she literally kind of walks in barefoot. Her clothes kind of have this kind of scrappy charm to them.
Gerard will stop since he has been caught by Andrea, and I'm assuming names are bad for me. Chimera?
One sec. Because I can't actually see it on here because the all the boxes covered a...
It is Chimera. If that is the candidate.
Where am I getting it wrong? Chimera, yes.
Gerard just stops and looks at both of them between the two.
You don't recognize Chimera. But both will bow to you. Very briefly. Like, Chimera doesn't bow herself by much. And she'll actually be the one to kind of talk. And we'll just say, good evening. I take it you're Gerard, yes?
The one and only.
I apologize for the lack of formalities, but I'm acting on rather short notice, and I believe we are short on time.
That's why you're here.
I have a matter I'd like to briefly discuss if it wouldn't be too much trouble. Is there anywhere we can go where we can have a bit of privacy? She kind of looks around, a bit unsatisfied by the fact that this place is quite busy.
Gerard, cracks the barest hint of a smile, like the slightest tug on the corner of his lips, and he goes, I doubt it, but we can try. I heard the balconies were quite nice.
She looks on over. I mean, they still have people on them, but she kind of gives a look as if it'll do. Very well.
And so
you...
they all... Oh, Peter.
Jesus, Peter!
What's that? There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, Gerard will sort of split the crowd as he makes his way towards the balconies.
Anyone who you'd all see this stranger, by the way. Anyone can roll me Canite Law if you have Actually, yeah, just roll Canite Law because it's someone native to the region, so you'd have probably heard of them if you keep up to date with the gossip.
Canite lore and intelligence, or just straight canite lore?
Intelligence, Canite Law. I'll say diff, probably diff 7.
Really?
Aldrich, you've been very busy doing Tremere things.
That is fair.
You haven't got time for this Nancy Pansy gossip. That's that's what the Venturer and the Toreador are for. You provide actual solutions.
Right.
So anyone who scored a success would recognize this person as the Venturer of the domain of Haran. Let me just get the map up. Beep beep boop. Yes. The city to the south of Odessa, the domain to the south of Odessa, is a Venturer domain. And she is known as its sheriff. She is, interestingly enough, not an elder. She's just considered an ancillor. Those with multiple successes, 2 successes, would know that she's viewed generally very well by not necessarily by the domain, but by kind of younger Kenites in general. Like, she has something of a positive reputation. She's known as a bit of a progressive, and is a fairly atypical venture. Those with 3 successes and up would know she was also known as something of a rising star among her clan and in the city. And that she apparently has quite the lineage, but even she could not tell you what it is. Or rather, she could tell you what it was, but her sire has either vanished or died. And I'll say those were 4 successes plus. Is there anyone one with 4 successes? Because a lot of people rolled. No. No, I don't think there's anyone with 4 successes here. In which case, that doesn't matter. But yes, and she's definitely not a she's definitely not someone you've seen at this Elysium prior to now.
Very strange indeed.
So, last minute guest.
Mm-hmm.
But everyone there would be aware that who got successes know she's quite influential in the region for an anciller. Like she is, particularly for most of the ancilla who are not newcomers to the region, you have probably dealt with her or one of her people at some point. So Madeleine and Gerard, you've definitely, if you've not encountered her directly before, you have definitely knowingly dealt with one of her people. She is quite influential across the region. She's known to have quite a lot of contacts, both mortal and canine.
Excellent.
She's someone you kind of go to for getting things done, and has really in many ways kept her run relevant in that regard, despite being just an enforcer of the law. I'm not sure if anyone else would know of her. In a sense that I think the rest of you are newcomers. So yeah. Gufran, you might have heard of her. You might have kind of got that information because you've probably dealt with her people on one or two occasions. You've almost certainly never met her directly, but
Good.
You've definitely dealt with one of her people before.
Okay.
And yeah,
To the balcony.
to the balcony they go, and she goes with Gerard and Andrea. Or Andrea.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a slight problem on our hands in regards to your primogen. I assume a venture of this city have, if I may be so bold, gone over his head on this particular matter.
Gerard just sort of stares at her, completely unswayed by these words.
Needless to say, I worry he intends to intercede and undermine my position here. Went so far as to threaten me outside. I believe he believes me being here undermines his own position.
No one would accuse Herman of being long-sighted. The man doesn't know where his head is for us to go over it, as it were. At this point, it is a simple step.
Andrea just speaks. And we need to get him on board or remove him from the debate entirely at this point.
It will be dealt with.
Hmm.
The very first item on my agenda.
Fantastic. I will be socializing. I believe my presence would only have an inflammatory impact on his bearing if I were to arrive with you. So I'll leave that for you to sort. I hear you two are experts in the art of getting things done, which is something I can fully get behind and endorse.
Indeed. I have certain contingencies in place based on what happens. We cannot remove Herman. He may choose to remove himself if that is the case, depending on how things go. But We will simply have to see. I have a feeling that he will find himself with a very limited platform.
It may be the wisest course of action to advise him that if he were not to allow this, well, he would have lost control of his own power base among the Ventru, and that is not something, even if he were to push himself forward here, regardless of our intent, that will end well for him.
I'm going to go speak with him, and I will see if I can make sense. Either way, whatever is said here will not change what happens afterwards.
Oh, it certainly won't. But I thank you.
The decision is made. It's up to you to seize the opportunity. I will support you however I can, as will Andrea and others. Our friends in the Tremere can provide us with an exit should things get extraordinarily hostile out of hand. A very small
judgment in that matter.
A very small chance, to be sure, but all angles must be considered.
In which case, I'll make my presence known, re-entrench myself with my colleagues here. Come fetch me when you have results, and we'll get to business.
Very well.
She'll nod to you.
Gerard will give about the most, the greatest imitation of a bow that he has given anyone thus far this evening, and will back away, look at Andrea pointedly.
She has trousers, so she can't really curtsy, so she just settles for like a slight bow.
Yep. And then we'll turn and head back into the party.
During the interlude, if I may.
Of course.
Aldrich would have split about the same time as Gerard and very casually made a beeline for his primogen.
Yeah, Regent's just talking with people, but when he sees you approach, he'll just politely break off from the conversation so that he can talk to you.
Good evening, my lord. I did not mean to interrupt.
That's quite all right.
If you had a moment to taste the wine.
Yes. Quite a stockpile they have. Fascinating.
Indeed. I thought it best that had you not, it was worthy of attention.
It is, and it will be a matter we'll have to investigate post Elysium. But I think for now we should perhaps lay low on that particular matter. We've seen what happens when one makes a fuss, and he looks towards the Ventru, Imogen.
And Aldrich can't help but eye roll a little bit and nod in agreement. I shall await your word, my lord.
I have been away from this Elysium due to the fact that it appears our free-eyed friends have decided to issue a declaration and have been sending scouting parties as to what would formerly be referred to as our domain. They only hesitantly leave, for they could strike at any moment. It would not surprise me if they decided to attack during Elysium. They seem to have lost all sense of courtesy.
Indeed. What if it transpires serves only as justification for the end that would inevitably befall them?
Yes. If nothing else, their brashness gives us an opportunity to put an end to this conflict. But it is ill-timed for us. Good thing this is the last evening then of Elysium.
Indeed.
I simply wish to maintain the status quo that has left our particular clan in a safe and secure position here for so long. Too many opponents here for us to push forward too quickly. Normally we'd only have to deal with the fiends or the savage or the outlanders. Here we've got no less than 4 clans running for our heads. Still, as long as the Venture are able to uphold their end of the bargain, we should be secure. And of the way the Salubri have been acting, I doubt the Lasombra are willing to die on that particular hill. They are pragmatists at heart. Surely they know where the tide of battle turns.
Speaking of which, the events of tonight, I'm sure you anticipate them as much as I, yes?
Yes. I've gotten word the Venture have sent along a candidate. I believe that to be the woman. I've heard of Chimera. She is quite prestigious for her age and admirable quality. Hopefully she'll be able to, if nothing else, put up a healthy fight against the former Seneschal. It's all we need for them to realize that we are still a threat and one to be recognized, not to be ignored and simply ran over.
But I rather like being underestimated.
It is how we've been so successful so far, yes.
Oh, shit.
But I fear given a century or two, we will no longer have that advantage, so best to prepare for the inevitable.
As always.
As for this Elysium, I would advise, as soon as it is over, we make haste back to our chantry. I have left several capable defenders, but I am still uncertain. I personally am anxious about being here.
Should our allies not require my aid, I shall accompany you, should you desire it.
That is the problem. We must be willing to throw weight behind the Venture here. At the same time, the Salubri have us at a disadvantage if we do. What I find more concerning is who leaked the information as to location of our chantry. Very few knew that information.
What worries me?
Our own clan.
What worries me is the taste of this wine, and that perhaps it was not leaked.
That as well. That might be something I have to discuss with you later. A far-flung inquiry, but none that was actually ever fully resolved by Vienna.
I see.
Actually, I'm not sure if they use Vienna at this point in time. One second. I'll look that up for you. Yeah, no, they don't. Vienna isn't actually their country right now. It's Sioris. He'll say one that was never fully resolved by Sioris. Which you know is the largest chantry of the Tremere and resides in Transylvania.
In any event, I won't keep you, as there are urgent matters, and I'm certain our eyes are better not looking upon one another. So, until your word is given, and he raises his glass. Arbitrium vincit omnia.
He will reply because I'm terrible, and you have me as a ST at a disadvantage.
that is the motto for Clan Tremere?
Yeah, no, I can see it. I just can't pronounce it as cleanly as you because you're good and I'm bad.
Oh, sorry.
Oh no, don't be. You're better at this than me. He will reply in kind, and will gladly toast to that.
And unless he has anything else, Aldrich will fuck off.
No, yeah. Could you just make me an Auspex roll real quick?
Oh, certainly. Just straight Auspex?
Straight Auspex. Haha, nothing. Although, no. Actually,
I'm looking pretty good.
Okay, the Regent seems like, yeah, that's it. But, you kind of feel like a sudden chill down your spine. How to put it? You have a strange sense of foreboding, but it's almost like possible foreboding. It's a strange feeling. You get the feeling that's not that something is going to happen, but that something very much could happen. It's almost like that feeling of kind of fragile glass and like a ball just running through it, just running through Elysium. The sense of potential violence. And its consequences.
After which Aldrich
That's too vague. I'll give you another hint.
Right.
The violence ends abruptly.
Aldrich will uncharacteristically take a step forward and motion to physically get his Primogen's attention. Again, inconspicuously. Just kind of like a tap on the arm.
Yeah, is there a problem, Aldrich?
I believe I'm beginning to get the feeling you spoke of. Palpable sense. something of an abrupt conclusion, yes. Feeling such a sense, I feel the need to ask, in the event that one needs to vanish. What would you advise?
He stops for a moment. His eyes begin shifting. His sense of concern becomes a bit more apparent. Um, so what you see from him is like his his right eye twitches ever so slightly. His vision, like the way his eyes move, and it's really like the way he kind of looks and seems to perceive things, becomes very scattered, very alert. Um, as if you triggered some sort of um, some almost like some great fear in a way. But he doesn't look panicked. He looks like he's on the verge of it in a way. And he'll just say, "Open spaces, eyes on all exits. I'll remain on the balcony." And
He gives it.
he actually just immediately starts moving to the balcony and does not socialize with anyone, remains completely away from everyone, and looks like he is ready to GTF at a moment's notice in a way. Like he very much has like he kind of shuffles a lot, you notice. And you notice he keeps a very strong eye on things when he's out on the balcony. Like he has his kind of back to the balcony itself, so you know he has full eyes on the room. He's very much distanced himself from any sort of socializing, mingling right now, and like I mean, he's looking like a hawk, and yeah, like he almost looks like he's poised to just like to leap off the fucking balcony in a way sometimes.
Aldrich will motion Red again very casually. He he'll casually step away from what was occurring, maintaining his cool and a facade of just anyone else here. However, he'll motion to look for the exits again, very nonchalantly, and at the same time keep an eye out for where Gerard disappeared to, as well as the Merchant of Bones.
Fair enough. Perhaps wise, considering what you have seen or sensed. This is not really a vision per se. It's more like a kind
feeling
of
or vibe. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a collection of vibes and thoughts rather than actually a vision. Not even it's just suddenly it clicks into your head. Something's gonna happen. Someone's gonna get violent. Something's gonna get violent, and it's gonna end very quickly and very bloodily.
For Andrew, since you dropped in the middle of it, Aldrich is being nonchalant and keeping an eye out for where Gerard disappeared to, and he's just kind of staying a little closer towards an exit.
Meanwhile,
Gerard's
the
probably
region
actually passing the regent as he's going towards the balcony.
Yeah, oh yeah, no, he does. he the glance he gives you is so quick. But he doesn't really openly acknowledge you. He doesn't talk to anyone. He just acknowledges you like with this like just razor thin glance and just hides out on the balcony.
Yep.
You approach to Primogen because Herman's
If Gerard has an eye out, Aldrich will raise a glass as almost sort of a toast, well, not quite as formal, but just trying to make a gesture towards Gerard should he catch it.
Gerard catches the glance and then continues to his intended goal.
You make your way over to Herman and and Baijan. And Herman's kind of like rather angrily whispering to Baijan, just saying, I won't allow this. I won't allow this. And Baijan just kind of replies, I told you this is where traitors come to roost.
Well, when Gerard gets in conversing range, he will bow to Herman.
Baijan just kind of says, I'll leave you to your business. And leaves. As in, he sounds exasperated. As in, like, not only does he not want to be here, but as in everything going on here, he just hates.
Understandable.
Yeah. It's probably the one valid opinion he has. But yeah, Herman just kind of... He gives you due courtesy because... Does he? Have him roll. Have him roll etiquette. Let's see if he can bring himself to do it. He is pretty good at this, to be fair, and he does have a specialty in venture etiquette, so he's not terrible. He should be able to do this. Yeah, he gives you due courtesy, if nothing else. Like, he does a bow, however reluctant it may be, considering you more or less caused this whole situation, which has made him so cross.
I did no such thing. Yeah, so whenever due courtesy is given, Gerard will stand and clasp his hands behind his back, and we'll just say Primogen.
Gerard.
A momentous evening lies before us.
Quite.
You seem nonplussed.
Yes. I intend to step forward.
You think it wise?
This city needs someone strong to lead it, and the Seneschal certainly isn't that. He was part of a failed court. And this newcomer has no credibility or right to be moving in on the territories of her own clan. Now, Attica, Gerard knows that she absolutely has credibility, and has come and gone here to Odessa for quite a while, and has quite a lot of contacts here. Like she's well known amongst like all the Ventru.
Mm-hmm.
She's fairly well liked. She has sort of regional acclaim in a way, like not necessarily this extreme per se, but she definitely she's entrenched here in her own way.
I understand your feelings on the matter, but I ask again, do you think it wise?
I've already answered this question.
Allow me to pose it another way. Then, considering all that's happened, and considering what lies ahead and what Clan Ventru has decided, you found no way to profit from it?
Oh, damn.
That you must go against the grain, the wave of progress?
Okay. The only wave I see are the Sombra pulling her own set of strings. And they just lost their most valuable ally to us.
Is that so?
Did they not have an accord of the Cappadocians and the Brujon?
They did. One of those is still a question mark. But you think that should the Lasombra put their weight into this issue, that the outcome would not be the same?
They've always relied on others to run the city for them. The Nosferatu once, and then the Cappadocians. One must wonder if the arrival of this Brujon zealot is just another one of their proxies.
Likely is. A convenient one at that. But have you not noticed the undercurrent of the city?
That depends. There are several.
Who we have chosen represents a very powerful force in the city. She is well, and she does have influence here, and she carries a sterling reputation with her. Yes, this is very inconvenient for you, but you're an incredibly intelligent man, tactical. Your status has not changed. You found no way to profit from any of this.
So he so far is not frenzied. Are you trying, if I may ask, what would be your preferred role on this? Are you trying to convince him or intimidate him?
I'm trying to convince him,
Okay.
even though my intimidate pool is much better.
I believe that would be charisma leadership in this case. So you're trying to kind of force him down a given path, and it will be quite a high difficulty with a success threshold of 3. The reason which is you're trying to convince him to let go of his claim to this city, and which not only runs contrary to his interests, but it's also to someone whose political ideals he more or less directly opposes.
I mean, the status quo for him hasn't changed, though. He sees it as that, but he would still be Primogen and would still be able to much easier deal with the prince, because that would be a venture as well if everything went according to plan.
Yeah. Did you spend it one? You didn't spend it willpower.
I did not spend willpower.
Okay. Oh, that's a fail.
It is.
I'm gonna have him roll again then. And he's acing a self-control roll, so yeah, no violence here, not today. Turns out everyone's all-specs rolls are wrong.
Indeed.
Indeed. We've made plenty of gains in our allegiances to the other clans. Is that not profit?
And yet, I am the one that has done all of that work.
Man, you're forcing me to make so many self-control rolls. Eventually this guy will fail one. No, but he doesn't. He's keeping it together, man. This is the most provocative conversation he's probably ever had in his lifetime.
No, surely not. Surely
not. Uniquely provocative. I rule this clan as its Primogen. You forget your place here.
When the leadership is ineffective, it must be questioned and dealt and corrected.
Oh, fuck! I definitely roll manipulation, intimidation.
Let me continue with that.
Oh, good lord!
Allow me to put it another way. Seeing as how I don't think that I can convince you otherwise. You will accept what is happening here. You will keep your position, and you can either profit from it or be mad about it, or whatever the case may be. But if you do not, and you attempt to sabotage what is happening here, it will be you running for Antioch for your life.
Roll it.
I don't even care. That was mad fucking props.
Yeah. Do you want to spend a willpower, by the way?
I do.
Oh boy!
Okay.
I also have a specialty and bruiser, so the difficulty is 1 less.
Nice.
Oh,
That does meet the success threshold of the willpower expenditure. What was your specialty again?
Implied threats.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Fucking. I'm not sure I'd call that implied, but yeah, I'll count it. That definitely meets the success threshold. Actually goes one success over because it was a success threshold of 3. So yeah, you basically say, yeah, my ass and the Venturer are gonna basically run you out of town.
Should you not get in line? That's the important part.
Yeah. And his reaction is it's more like a process. Because this is not the first time he's basically been confronted in this Elysium. He's had to do quite a lot of confrontations in this Elysium. So he doesn't necessarily show fear. In fact, I will actually briefly have him make a roll to see if he does. He does have a lot of courage. Yeah, he doesn't let any fear be shown far from it. The reason for this is because it's relevant to the code that he follows, shall we say. So it's something of a process. And at first he appears very... And his rage is kind of visible throughout. And at first he seems like taken aback by a little bit. His eyes flash red for a moment. He kind of grits his teeth and his mouth tenses. His whole face just tenses. And for the briefest of moments, it's almost as if he were about to strike you in a way. Like, he doesn't actually rear his hand back or anything. There's like that moment where there is that brief consideration of outright violence. But he doesn't bring himself to do it, and instead is only left to stew in impotent rage, as he effectively kind of lets out this sort of, not cry, but it's like this very muffled, just furious sound, kind of like a grunt, like as if he were about to scream out, but like he's stopping himself from doing it. So it's very like he just kind of tears away from you and just storms out of the building very loudly. His feet actually damage the floor due to his supernatural strength, and he's not really holding back at this point. And he just slams the doors open and almost tears one of them off its hinges before leaving. The keeper seems to the guards seem to kind of alert themselves to this, and the keeper just kind of makes a circling sound with her finger, then just points to him as he leaves.
Gerard.
Everyone fucking sees this shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, backtracks and gets real close to Madeline. And he's sort of in alert stance.
Yeah, Gerard will move towards the Keeper of Elysium and will, bow and just say, I do apologize for his actions. I will see that any damages that have been made are repaid.
The keeper walks up to you as if she were about to make a fucking announcement, but your interjection was fairly well timed. Oh, one sec. She, has Eldrick met this particular keeper? She's a Tismisi, so they don't like each other.
Yeah.
But she'll just say in again her fake Italian accent that I shan't do. The very fact that you apologize says far greater things about you than the disgraceful display your elders put on this evening. I will, on behalf of the Princeton and as under my authority as keeper, I shall accept this offer.
I will also personally assure you that he will never act in such a way again in this Elysium.
Oh, he
By
is
what?
not
By
coming back to this Elysium.
By way of saying that he will not be coming back to this Elysium ever. It's sort of left vague, but
yeah, I know. She more or less just states like this man is barred from Timur's Elysium from this point forward, until he sees fit to make amends.
Indeed.
The people already she already nah, they won't have someone. They can't because there are too many Canaanites around. So yeah, the doors are unfortunately left somewhat damaged. They're instead, what the guards do is kind of the makeshift fix. What they do is they kind of hold the damaged door open so it's not in the way, and kind of prop it up slightly so it looks less it looks less like a blight on the landscape. It looks kind of fairly normal once they got it kind of propped up. You can't actually move it anywhere, but it's open, so noise does travel outside, but that's not really a problem. It was already loud in here to begin with.
Again, my most sincere apologies.
Chris, can I make an assist on that?
Pardon?
Can I make an assist on fixing that door?
If you approach the keeper about it, she will state that she very much appreciates the offer. But for now, just enjoy the festivities. But if you wish to hone your skills, by all means, she'd appreciate the assistance. Not, but it's no problem if it isn't, if you do not wish to. She has people who can fix it.
Emma doesn't mind.
She appreciates your forthrightness and willingness to help.
Awesome. Should I make a roll or?
No. You offered to help, and you know what? People appreciate that. Unless you were to somehow get up all in her face and say, "Bitch, and let me fix that door," which I don't think Memon is doing. So,
no.
Do you know how to fix a door? I do. Fuck
do you
out
know
of my
how to fix
way.
a door? I don't think so, but I know how to fix a door. Hey, no, it's fine. We'll count that as basically an automatically successful social action because you're willing to help, and you know what, the help is useful.
Sweet.
So yeah, making friends with a keeper.
Hey man, I was a keeper at one point. Know how these things go.
Yeah. Can feel Maria's pain, which is weird.
But after that, Gerard will move back towards Andrea and little girl. to let them know that he shouldn't be an issue, at least not for right now in this moment.
Less subtle than I would have hoped, but it worked.
I can't control him. The offer I gave was more than reasonable. I have a feeling that we will need to clean the house, as it were. Otherwise, none of this will stand unmolested. Should it work anyway? Always the assumption.
Yes, I've been doing some socializing of my own. Obviously, the atmosphere and the way these people are grouped together paints a fairly obvious picture in its own right, but it appears we are fairly evenly split.
We shall see. The moment is fast approaching. But that's literally all he says, and then he will sort of bow and excuse himself. And then go and admire more curtains.
Oh man, this curtain's fucking great. Johanna did a hell of a job.
She did.
And yes. A few minutes will pass. Not exactly the life of a party, but the gentleman of the court, the prince himself, will enter. As the time for the end of Elysium is approaching, but there is time for a few words of the prince. I thought Madeleine wanted words of the prince, but it's fine. The prince have gone ignored. No? Pete? You there? We can't hear you. I know you're trying to talk because I keep you muting and unmuting.
Hello? Oh, there.
There you go.
I don't know why it changed microphone. Oh, anyway.
That's cool. You got it.
Madeline would probably gather the attention of people when he enters, since this is the prince of the domain. So she would, well, the keeper or herself would announce his presence once he's here.
Yeah.
So she will say, "Everyone, may I have your attention, please? Our gracious host, Prince Ulrich of Timaran," as he enters.
Ulrich will kind of bow as you get everybody's attention. And he will just begin mingling with the crowd, but we'll head towards the seneschal first. Lady Seneschal, I apologize for my late entry.
Well, it is good to have you here. I hope the night finds you well.
As well as it can. I've been talking with the seneschal of our neighbor.
Well, speaking of seneschals, she smiles and looks at the door and looks back at him. The Ventru Primogen. He seemed to have pressing engagement elsewhere.
I have no doubt that the Keeper of Elysium is not taking kindly to it, and he will not be returning.
Of course.
Should he do so, I'll have him ran out of the city.
Of course. I will make the necessary arrangements.
Thank you. A shame. This was to be a place for productive discussion. I have to be honest, I was somewhat cynical. I did expect more jaded minds to come forth, like his
Well,
own.
on a positive note, I have not heard of a single instance of violence so far.
No, we have had people wandering around where they shouldn't have been, but we've dealt with that.
Still, quite successful. The keeper has done well.
A clean and courteous Elysium, or as clean and courteous as one so large can be. A good thing too, this is the last day we've been running out of stock.
Quite so. I am sure that your generosity will be noted by everyone.
There are a few ways in which one can perform such a feat. It has not been easy and took a great deal of preparation. Which I should note was not actually in preparation for this particular event, but we adapt.
That we do. Will we be seeing our dear Primogen from Edessa?
Yes. Not that it changes anything now. The plans to have one of the other clans are aligned with put him forward. Concerns are that both sides of the aisle are evenly split, which could result in a very interesting dichotomy. Either they'll reach a compromise or they'll start killing each other. But it certainly won't be here.
That we will make sure of. Please inform me if I need to take any precautions tonight or in the coming nights, or if any announcement should be made. I will inform the keeper or do them myself.
Appreciate it. Have a good evening, or what little of it remains.
Thank you very much. And the same to you, my prince.
And I'd like to thank you personally for aiding the keeper in hosting this event. I know it's been quite a task.
Well, it was my genuine pleasure. Should I fetch your child?
Thinks on this for a moment. Of course, thank you.
One moment. She does a very polite and very eloquent curtsy and goes over, and Irene has been, for all this time, I think, been hassled by at least 2 or 3 people of how
regaled.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's been through a lot, and Madeline comes to save her.
I mean,
Irene.
she kind of enjoyed it, in all honesty.
Okay. Irene, your sire would have a moment.
Oh, of course. If you would excuse me, gentlemen.
Guard just gives you like a small wave. Like, bye.
Yep.
Until next time.
Curtsy. And yeah, we'll make her way over to Ulrich, to whom she also curtsies. My prince.
My child, how are you?
I am quite well. This has been a very interesting event. I hope I have not disappointed you with my actions.
Far from it. Are you alright? You look a little bit flushed, if I do say so myself.
It's probably just the. It's been a very busy evening, my prince. There are many people here, many of whom I've never met.
He just nods as if to say, I'm sure. It delights him.
Madeline will just say, "Oh, before I leave, I do believe we have sort of a visitor," and she will name the. Well, she will say the sheriff of whatever the name of the city was. I have forgotten, but
Yes, I've dealt with her in the past.
likewise, she is here tonight, I believe. I have not had the pleasure of speaking to her myself, but perhaps you would. I merely wished to inform you.
She's a great asset to the dream in his twilight years.
Oh, that is joyous news. Should
No
I?
doubt she's here to fill the Venture's candidacy for a prince, considering that Primogen just walked out on the court.
Well, if she is a follower of the dream, I do believe we could do worse. But much has yet to happen. If there is nothing else, I will have to take my leave.
Of course, I'll be making an announcement shortly regarding the issue of this praxis.
Very well. Madeline curtsies and moves away.
Alright, cool. Mingle with Chimera for a few minutes. The Seneschal will enter and he'll talk of him also. And it's about 10 to 20 minutes worth of him mingling. Looks like he's kind of confirming something. At which point, he and the keeper will enter the center of the room. Or rather, enter the. No, he gets up on the kind of pedestal that the thrones are on. With the keeper. The keeper just kind of gathers everyone's attention by kind of thumping the floor with her little staff, a stave. I apologize for my lack of volume, it's now getting late. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you for attending this most prestigious event. It humbles me and my court. I must admit, we did not expect to have the honor. And so, we are very grateful that you decided to grace us in place of all the other locations you could have chosen. With that being said, I believe there is a matter to be resolved, and I'm sure all of you here would like to see that. As for meeting point and the place of neutral ground for this particular issue. I would like to announce our 2 candidates for the Princeton. No, he won't say 2, he'll say 3. As I'm sure you're all aware, the former Seneschal of Odessa has not only served with distinction over the past decades, but as an esteemed member of my own clan. He has been put forward by no less than 4 clans to serve as this city's prince. Sorry, not as this city's prince. I'll say as Odessa's prince. Sometimes I forget we're not there. We also have Chimera, which I have no doubt that many of you are also aware of, the esteemed Sheriff of Haran, a woman known for her great exploits across the region, whose reputation precedes her and extends far beyond the domain whose law she enforces. And of course, Ali Al-Taib, another new guest to the domain of Odessa, but also an esteemed elder of his clan, and one that most certainly serves poised to serve in the stead of his predecessor. May he rest in peace. Now, I leave you to these 3, and to the elders and clans who would support them in their claims to praxis. While many, of course, harbour justified concerns about no neutrality, as of course I am a member of the clan of one who wishes to claim said praxis, I reiterate that this court and all who inhabit it express neutrality in regards to this matter, regardless of whose sire, clan, or creed they originate or dwell within. So what happens next is both of them, everyone kind of, pretty much every, like the 3 elders, or the 2 elders in the ancilla, be kind of brought to the fore. There is a brief discussion amongst elders and a declaration from each kind of elder of the clan, each primogen, that you understand. Where primogen are not present, for example, the adventurer, that place is taken by Andrea. Of course, the Ventru declare their support for their own, as do the La Sombra, as do the Bruja. They are the first to speak and those most willing to throw their weight behind their own candidate. Now, I'm actually going to have to look some up because I've made whole notes of this. The Nos throw their weight behind the Venture candidate. The Gangrel throw their weight behind the La Sombra candidate. The Tismisi also throw their weight behind the La Sombra candidate. Garnet, darling, it appears your Primogen is off of a ferry, so to speak. He's a little indisposed right now. He was present, but appears he's outside, unfortunately.
Well, no matter. I can handle that.
You are his kind of effectively the recognized representative for him when he is not around.
Oh, yeah.
Garnet will can handle that.
No problem, darling.
No, that won't amount to any abuse of power, I'm sure.
Oh, never. Garnet will declare the Malkavian support for the Venture candidate, smiling at everybody as he goes and stands beside the Merchant of Bones.
Sorry, out of character. That is the most Malkavian thing to ever happen. It's like, or Primogen? I don't know, he got distracted. Oh, okay. that is so
just be glad the fucking red man isn't here. Let's be serious.
If the red man was here, it'd be even better.
That would fit the bill for imminent abrupt danger.
It approaches now. Bajan will state his clan support for the Venture as well. The Assamites and the Ravnos state their support for Clan La Sombra. The Bourgeois are taking something of a political beating here. Obviously, no one's really backing them.
Aldrich backs them. No, I'm
Aldrich
kidding.
backs them. Yeah, Tremere back, obviously back Clan Venture. The Toreador, interestingly, state neutrality. And it is Gwyn who says that. The final clan, because the Salubri are absent, and as such do not have a voice, to speak as the fellows are set, and they interestingly put their weight behind Clan La Sombra.
Gufran will raise an eyebrow at that.
It is said rather lackadaisically and without much conviction, to be fair.
He'll still raise an eyebrow at that. Like, huh, that's interesting.
There's a thing there. Hey, back in season 1, these guys had all sorts of dealings going on. But yes. And so they're very split. The clans are very much split. Obviously, the Bourgeois prince is unfortunately out of the running, but he does claim the title of Primogen among his own clan, regardless of who becomes prince. He does have a step down, and will gracefully and will offer to serve as an advisor to whoever becomes prince. He hopes that whoever succeeds follows the Lord's word as faithfully as he does. Which is, yes, this person and this person. There's a little of amusement on the Seneschal's face. It's probably one of the very few times he's been seen smiling. He's usually kind of devoid of emotion, but not like as to be rude or like stone face. He's just been like fairly casual or like stoic. But he seems a little bit amused. He'll take a few steps up towards her. and with open files, we'll just say, perhaps we should talk. I'm sure we can find an agreement without either of us coming to blows. I'm sure neither of us wish to have our own respective sides of the aisle war over this. We've already suffered enough losses, as I'm sure you're aware. Now, Kira seems to weigh this very carefully in her head. And she thinks for a moment. She will say, let's talk. And she'll just put a hand on his shoulder, and they will kind of retreat to a private space where they may discuss matters. Basically, they go out onto a balcony, the door is closed. If anyone really wishes to, you may try and use Auspex to overhear the conversation. Keep in mind you are in Elysium, though. But it's unlikely you'll get caught, right? Right. Right.
We'll be using potions left, right, and center, breaking walls and shit.
Well, from the entire side, the discussion seems fairly calm.
Madeline, for her part, will stay like she's not nervous essentially, but she is gonna be somewhat like on alert of this and just be close to the two. Well, the entrance to. She's not gonna listen in on them. That would be ever so not becoming. But she is gonna make sure that everything is all right.
Who did the gangrel vote for, by the way?
La Sombra.
Okay.
It was not only. It was actually not John. John who did that. It was his sire who went forward.
Oh really? Is Jean there?
Yeah, but he hates people. It seems like he had her do it in his stead.
Well, that's a relief, because I was hoping that they wouldn't vote for someone I didn't want to do it.
Both are respected elders, so their word is considered sacrosanct in this manner. But yeah, they were talking beforehand, and he just didn't want to be part of the whole commotion, so he just had her do it. But yeah. He was there. He is there. You can see him. They were talking. You do notice, so it seems like she was just being his proxy.
Yeah.
But yes, if anyone looking outside, you do have a few minutes to discuss if you want. And I need to be RB for like 5 minutes, so I'll leave you to discuss matters as they kind of negotiate in private.
Garrett just turns to Merchant Bones, chill as fuck, folding his arms. Well, that was exciting. A tie.
Indeed. One can only wish. One could only. Like I. Give anything to hear what they're saying right now.
I bet it's more of the same. You've accepted so many losses in recent years, and you should give it to me. But we've gained so much, and it's probably the more back and forth. However, I have faith in our candidate.
Me too. It's not said and done until it's said and done. So I will wait here with bated breath.
Indeed. I did notice, however, darling, that most people are whispering about your primogen. Should be something to keep an eye on, oh boy.
My eye has been kept on him for a while now.
As I with mine, but yet you do notice who spoke for the clan first. Wink, mischievously.
Yeah. Much like the old to profit off the backs of the young.
You could say that. After all, this is a time for change.
Hmm.
Change most needed, I think. You lean back against probably the wall, watching everybody with a big, big smile on his face.
I would concur. It is time for a change. And that'll hopefully be tonight.
First of many, I hope.
Me too. I'm in quite good spirits regarding all this. I really hope to end it on such.
Oh, I'm in wonderful spirits, darling. He just waves at the Lasomber, who've been side-eyeing because he has a certain flaw, but he just waves at them. No, not,
Oh yeah,
not
he's been
giving
getting
a
the same side eye too because
not
he has
giving
the
a
same.
flying fuck. Yeah.
He probably has the same flaw. So yeah, he he just stands there, just whatever. We're here because we have to be. So yes.
And Madeline will probably be one of the ones waved at. She will return the wave, but that's about it. Her attention seems to be on the balcony.
Aldrich walks over to the Merchant of Bones, wine glass in hand, and very eagerly, very excitedly said, "That was some shit, bro." Now, but no, casually walks over and just kind of gives him a bit of a nod, kind of a bit of unease in his eyes.
Aldrich,
Yeah.
it's good to see you. Have you
You
just
as
gotten
well.
here this evening?
I've been around for some time. I'm afraid I spent quite a bit of time admiring the. He gestures up to the gold.
Yeah, it is quite attention grabbing, isn't it?
Indeed. What of you?
I've been here for a few days now. Taking in the nervous energy here, soaking it in. It's almost more intoxicating than the wine.
Palpable, is it not? Just tonight, or has it always been this way?
Well, with it being the final night and the topic that's been in everybody's minds has been finally broached, everything else has been kind of just necessity and formality.
Formality indeed. Does something not seem different? Unstable, perhaps?
I mean, Odessa has been thrown into a bit of a turmoil. The foundations are cracked, though not destroyed. People are on unease. It is unfair to blame them for such. Many are looking to profit. Many are looking to just get on with their lives. And I can understand that. What of you? Do you feel unease?
Perhaps a smidge.
Does the talk between our two candidates bother you?
Hmm. Think not. Whatever the result may be, Odessa will recover as it always does. No, what lingers in the air is something else I can't quite put my finger on. But it does strike a nerve.
Can't say I felt the same thing, although I've been paying more attention on the crowd here and other people. Maybe you should continue to monitor. I trust your instincts.
Indeed, as do I. But perhaps not my feet as much.
Oh, I can guarantee you your feet are better than mine, good sir.
Perhaps I should remain here then.
If you wish, I will not have you inconvenience yourself on my behalf.
One's inconvenience is another's hospitality, I suppose.
Well, these fair trappings aren't mine to provide. You? Yeah, you have to thank the Sombre for that.
And Aldrich sips of his wine.
Yeah, MLB just kind of directs his attention towards like where everybody else is probably looking, waiting for them to come out of that, off the balcony.
Mm-hmm.
They do. After towards the end of your discussion, the doors open. The Seneschal walks out first, then with Chimera. They seem to deal with each other affably. Like there isn't any hostility between them. The Seneschal will make his announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to announce to you your new Prince Chimera of Haran. I shall serve as I have before as your Seneschal. A keep will be selected shortly to replace the loss of our dear Rosalie. And the good Nirav of Clan Ravnor shall retain his position as Scourge. We are also going to select a new sheriff shortly. I would like to thank you for your time and patience in dealing with us, and congratulations to the new Prince of Odessa. May she serve us well as our prior. Clapping intensifies. Chimera bows.
Hurrah! Hurrah!
Nice.
Now kiss. No, sorry.
This is where the sound effects for the applause would come in. But I don't have that anymore. It makes me sad. Yes. That appears to be the arrangement that has been struck. We would like to give thanks to the Keeper and all officials of the Court of Tiburon for hosting this delightful event and for facilitating the peaceful transition of power from one prince to the next. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, with that, we may conclude our Elysium. Thank you for attending. Continue to feel free to mingle. By the end of this night, Elysium shall be at a close. Thank you for humbling us so gracefully with your presence. And she'll bow. And with that, conclusion to this particular skullduggery. We may end our scene there. Thank you, players, for playing. Thank you, viewers, for viewing. And we'll see you all next time.